Welcome back, everybody. It's another episode of Let's Move Austin. I'm your co-host, Chris Angel, here with your host, what's your name? Teresa.
Chris.
Teresa Bastian. Woo! That's so funny. Well, you know.
Are you giving me a pseudonym this time?
Yeah. It's your pen name. It's your,
okay.
It's your superhero name.
My TV name.
Exactly. Yeah. Awesome. Well, listen, we're talking about property management. This is a good topic.
Yes.
How did it come up for you?
Well, it actually occurred to me that recently I was working with someone in my neighborhood who is going through an unexpected job transfer, like very unexpected. And she has a toddler and a newborn, and they're being transferred out of state. So I was connected via mutual friends, and she asked, she never intended to be a landlord or rent her house out, and certainly not on short notice. So she said, what is a property manager? How can you help me? Can you manage my property? I don't even know what that means, but can you do it?
Right.
And I realized it might be helpful to explain the process so that people such as herself or anybody else that might run into this could have more details.
What are some of the, I love that. What are some of the main questions you get from people around property management?
Well, the number one thing people ask, no surprise in our culture, but is how much it costs.
Right.
Start with that. Yeah. And I will answer it right here. So I'm not doing that mystery thing.
Yeah.
I generally charge between 8 and 10% of 1 month's rent. Okay. So we'll just get that on the table. There are some exceptions and discounts for multiple properties. And I mean, like everything in real estate, things are negotiable, but that's the ballpark you can work with.
Okay. So if my rent that I charge $1,000, it can be close to $100 a month.
Well, yes, but let me back you up a minute. Okay. Most properties in Austin that would rent out that would have a property manager would be quite a bit more than $1,000. Unfortunately, our rents here are quite high. Okay. And $1,000 gets you like a 1-bedroom or an apartment. So I generally wouldn't deal with something that was super entry level. I feel like my services are most valuable for people who have a home that isn't a typical rental, like a college frat house or all those pictures. We're talking about a home that is an investment. They've put some money into it and expect it to continue to gain equity while it's a rental. And my clients value the care I take in making sure that property stays nice.
Got it. Yep. Got it. What other thing, when people reach out to you to have this conversation, to kind of explore their options, what other questions come up for them besides cost?
The main question also, besides how much it costs, is what do you do? Like, what is the menu of services?
Yeah. Right.
And generally, full property management is from, you need to leave town. I will tell you what needs to happen to get your house ready. You would authorize those expenses. I would handle all of the repairs, the cleaning, any kind of upgrades, any trash hauling. I would, put the professional photos of the house, market the property to find your tenant. Any tenants that apply, I would do their background check, their credit check, call their, previous landlords. Then I would put together a nice packet, almost a, kind of a dossier of these applicants and present it to you as a landlord. So you have final say, but all the background work has been done. And yes, I do, check their jobs and look them up on social media and make sure things match up.
Yeah.
I'm very protective of my clients. And like I've had people apply for homes that, they're moving from California and they kind of slap their application together. Well, I do a little digging and find out, in reality, they want to rent this nice house in a suburban neighborhood to grow drugs in. Like they have a medical marijuana operation that they're hopeful will be licensed in the state of Texas soon. Well, that's not okay with most of my clients.
Right. Yeah.
And so I'm going to work very hard to sniff things like that out early and prevent you from making a mistake with your tenant. And so then once the tenant starts, I would handle all the collection of deposit, any pet fees or things like that. And then handing over the keys, I collect the rent. I'm the one that has to fuss with the tenant if they have, it's late or some excuse. You get your rent from me. minus any fees or, you know, if there was a repair made that month that I've handled for you.
Right.
In a sense,
Right.
you get to sit back, not deal with the hassle of the property, but
Yeah.
know it is in good hands and it's being cared for.
So let me push back a little bit, because I
Okay.
can feel like, I mean, clearly that's a lot of work that you're doing. I love that. And I could see somebody saying, well, I just want to take my chances. I think I could probably do this myself. I mean, Austin's a popular area. I can just throw it on Craigslist. I could probably get it rented out this weekend. Why can't I just do that?
Well, what's interesting is I'm sure I would feel the same way. And many of my clients felt that way at first.
Mm-hmm.
Until they got burned or until
Yeah.
the tenant said they heard a raccoon in the attic at the same time they were heading out of town for their 6-month planned ahead of time family vacation. But now they're forced to deal with,
Mm-hmm.
you know, tenants needing access or the pest control guy needing access.
Right.
And they're out of town. And now they're, you know, it's just what you choose to do. Most of my clients have full-time jobs that require their attention, have families that require their attention. They'd like to make money as a landlord, but not be hands-on and have those random surprises.
Right.
Also, I think an area that I add value is, you know, I manage multiple properties. I do real estate all over Austin. If you have a plumbing leak on a Friday night, I can get a guy there reasonably. You're going to spend a couple hours even getting someone to return your phone call.
Right.
So the connections and, you know, if I say, look, I need you there, but I need you to charge me regular price, my guys probably will, because they know I'm going to call them again for another property or another client.
Yeah.
You're just one person, one job to them. And
Right.
it's hard to get any kind of pull when you're not dealing in bulk with service
Yeah.
industry in Austin.
Yeah. That's really good. I love it. I
Yeah.
think it's funny. I mean, and I would say too, sometimes people will say, well, I really want my property to cash flow. I really want it to have some money.
Yeah.
But sometimes in light of having the help, you still get the benefit of the appreciation without the headache, right? Of
Right. I would say that for most of my clients right now, their properties are cash flowing, but not like, you know, a big fancy number that, you know, is super exciting, but they know the value is going up between 5 and 10% every year. And so we're in it for the long play together.
Yeah.
That's also why for most of my clients, keeping the property in good condition and not letting it get run down is important, because they're not looking at this as like, I'm going to drive that car till it falls apart. You know, they want to be able to sell this house and make a nice profit when they're done with this phase of life, whatever that is. Or many of my clients, it's surprising how many people are holding their house in Austin, hoping to be transferred or be able to move back here and live in that same house themselves.
Interesting. Yeah, good point. Yeah,
Yeah.
Really good point. There's so much that I've learned this a long time ago. There's so much that lives under the surface of any project, let alone, you know, a rental property. And I think most times we underestimate how much like extra stuff there is to manage and take care of.
It's a lot. And, you know, there's also, I would say most of my clients don't fall into this category, but some do. And so I'll throw it out there because it may apply to someone watching this. There are some people who are possibly too nice and find it hard. I know. I don't know. I mean, I'm not. But some people do find it valuable to have me as a buffer between them and their tenant.
Yeah.
Not that any of my clients are bad people, but honestly, it's a business arrangement. I had one experience where a tenant in one half of a duplex, they wrote and said, "Oh, I'm going through a divorce. Here's my soon-to-be husband's new address. You can collect his rent there." And predictably, that didn't go real well.
Right.
So I had to do a lot of wrangling to make sure these tenants understood they were both on the lease, what the impact was, that you just can't, you know, put it off on your landlord. This has to be something we agree on. It was a lot. I was happy to do it to get a, you know, situation resolved before it went wildly sideways. Yeah. But some direct owners may have caved on that, felt sorry that they were going through this and maybe not got paid that month or gotten only half rent.
Yeah.
You know, we never missed a month of rent. And we did create a solution that allowed those parties to move on, but no extra expense for the landlord.
Well, and I know this about you because I've known you for a long time, but you have this superpower of being able to not only be direct, but also like keep all parties like, you know, interested. Like you're very tactful at those kinds of situations.
Thank you. But I do think sometimes it's helpful because it's a buffer, right? I can say, oh, I see your point, but unfortunately the property owner doesn't allow me to make exceptions. Let's find a solution. So sometimes just by having someone else in the mix, I might not be better or worse than the property owner, but the fact that I'm a professional engaged to handle this gives a little more pull than going directly might.
Right. I think I would imagine that if you listening to this have a property that you may need to rent, that having a conversation with Teresa would be a good next step. Teresa, I mean, I'm assuming that's something that you do, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And you can even call me if you're just thinking about renting or, you know, usually, you know, you might have a little warning. Maybe you want to move to a different part of town or move out to the country and you're wondering if, you know, you could cash flow the house. I'm happy to meet with you and consult about what your investment would look like and what property management would look like.
Perfect.
Anytime. So just give me a call or text 512-297-3442.
Perfect. Awesome. Good stuff, Teresa. Thanks as always for bringing like, you know, the real estate stuff we need to know in Austin.
There's a lot to it. I want to help you make money.
I know. I love it. It's so good. Well, thanks for a great episode. We'll catch you next time. Until then, take care.
Thanks. Bye, Chris. Bye, everybody.